welcome to PrimeView, the NextGen UI Components session. My name is Çağatay Çivici. I'm the founder and the lead developer of PrimeView. So let me start with PrimeTech. So you might be wondering who develops and who is behind PrimeView. PrimeTech is a UI components vendor. So we have over 10 years of experience in developing UI components. Everything has started with Prime Faces, then we moved on to Angular, React, and finally we have arrived at Vue. So we are glad to come up with PrimeView because now we are able to share our years of experience with the Vue community as well. And our own user base has been asking for a Vue UI component library for Vue for quite some time. So I think they are happy as well. So right now on NPM, except Prime Faces, it's on another download system called Maven. So it has over 20 million downloads, and hopefully PrimeView will join its siblings soon, considering the popularity of the siblings. And we will see, and hopefully by 2021, we hope that PrimeView will be one of the most popular libraries for Vue. So are you ready for prime time? My goal is by the end of this presentation, you will be like what Antonio Banderas here is feeling, and you will be thrilled, excited, and you will be thinking about the nice applications you can do with PrimeView. So what is PrimeView? Mainly, it is a UI component library with over 60 UI components. There are material themes, bootstrap themes, dark modes, CSS utilities called PrimeFlex, and dashboards and templates and so on. So it is the complete UI solution for Vue. So that the idea is that you don't need to include a lot of dependencies to your package JSON. So everything will be coming from the one source and one source only, so that the migration process, updating to the newer versions and compatibility with your UI components will be unified and consistent. So, well, that's the idea of using a UI component library, right? And PrimeView delivers that. It is open source. Prime Faces is the name of our organization, and it is open source on GitHub, just like its siblings. You can check all the source code out there, and it's under MIT license, so it's free. This is PrimeView in a nutshell. We have over 60 UI components. They're quite advanced. Of course, there are simple ones and advanced ones like table and things like that. Theming is one of the highlights of PrimeView. We have light themes, dark themes, material themes, bootstrap themes, and so on. Let's start with the input components, starting with the basic inputs, radios, and checkboxes. We have all various select components for list boxes, drop down. It's called usually select, mult select as well. Which all of these components are quite flexible. They provide a lot of events and for you to hook in, and templating features so that you can customize the presentation. In addition to that, autocomplete, calendars, and other components are also available, like in addition to the sliders and ratings and whatnot. Input number is a late edition. It is one of the most popular components for PrimeView. So it's like a must-have for enterprises, right, where you need to deal with numbers, currencies, and other requirements. Buttons are, they're just buttons, but they come in various shapes and sizes. They can be outlined, rounded, with different severities. They can be grouped and so on. Data table, of course, this is the most complex one. It supports, it's quite flexible with events and templating for sure, like other components. And in addition, it supports sorting, paging, filtering that you may expect from a table, but also goes beyond that and provides some advanced features that you are not able to find in similar libraries, like virtual scrolling, regular scrolling with horizontal, vertical scrolling, frozen columns, frozen rows, row grouping, in-cell editing, row editing, column resizing, column reordering, state management, so that when you go close the browser and then come back, you can find the table as you left it and many other things actually. So data table is one of the most powerful components for Vue, and it's constantly improving and evolving. In addition to the table, there are a couple of data components. One is the data view. So, you will probably see that many times on the web, like e-commerce website, where the items can be listed or presented with a list view and the grid view. Then, well, basically you don't need to worry about it. It's just built in with a single click on the presentation view. We use the view templates here so that you can switch between different view modes. If you have a nested data, like if there's a hierarchy, there's a tree and the tree table. Tree table is a hybrid between tree and table, data table. And they also provide this mighty checkbox selection, which was for us a bit hard to implement. So I would like to promote it here. There's a checkbox selection, and the future versions will provide even more advanced features like drag and drop between trees and other extended features. Panels are used to group your content. We have the accordions, tabs, cards, field sets, and headers and toolbars. They also provide built-in toggling functionality so that your users can toggle the content. Also, their state can be handled programmatically as well. Menus. In templates, we have our own application shell menus, like let's say the grant menus, but also PrimeVue provides different kinds of menus in addition to this application shell menus, where you have the context menus for that has special integration with data table. Steps and tab menu are for they're integrated with the view router so that they can display children components. Of course, the menu bar and tiered menus. And the nice thing is that using this play menu and tiered menu, you can place them in an overlay as well. It's built in, so that if you don't have a lot of space, you can just bind it to a button or a link, so that when you click on that button, the menu will pop up. So it has static mode and inline mode. Overlays, they're called models in other ways as well. We have the overlay panel, tooltips, sidebar, I think it's also called drawer, and the mighty dialog to display content on top of other content, for sure. Messages, we have the Toast, which is a global service for Vue, where you can access it using anywhere in your application, and then add your messages using the different severities. And in addition, there's inline messages and static messages as well. File upload, it has two modes. One is the advanced mode with the progress bar and the thumbnails and things, and the other is the basic mode. So if you just, again, if you don't have a lot of space, you just click it, and there's an auto upload mode as well. Then once you select the file, it will just upload it. Charts, one of the few components of Vue that uses an external dependency, in this case, Chart.js. In this case, we handle the reactivity integration with Vue so that whenever the data changes, the chart update themselves. Also, the interactivity is enabled so that whenever a chart, let's say series is clicked, we pass that information to the Vue event system. And bunch of other components like badges, progress bar, progress spinners, block UI, terminal. There's even a terminal, command line terminal. So just check it out online. These are all available for you to play with online. So how to get started, assuming that you are still interested. It is on NPM. We also have our own icon set called Prime Icons. So you also need that. Once they are installed, you need to include some CSS. First, the theme, because PrimeView is design agnostic, so you need to include the theme that you would like to use, your theme, your own, the Material theme, Bootstrap theme, or one of our, Prime 1 themes like Saga. Then PrimeView min.css, it's just a simple CSS file that's a couple of lines, nothing complicated. It just contains some shared variables, let's say shared classes between the components. And then finally, your icons. The next thing is importing, let's say, the component that you use. This is a nice thing. PrimeView consists of different components, but if you just need, let's say, dialog and input text and table, you can just import that. Your application bundle won't include all the PrimeView components because this is like plug and play. What you need, you can import. And then the next steps are, of course, configuration for the dialog component. Of course, in Vue 3, that will be app.component. And finally, you can use it on your pages. And finally, and hopefully come up with these nice looking UIs with PrimeView. This is the highlight of PrimeView. We call it PrimeView design architecture. It's shared between its siblings like PrimeEngine, PrimeRect as well. The idea is that these libraries are design agnostic so that they do not depend on any specific design style or system like Material, Bootstrap, or any other CSS library. This gives us flexibility so that we can switch themes on the fly. The core part just contains alignments like positioning, for in this case, for example, drop down this the arrow icons, alignment and things like that. But the theme provides skinning, colors, spacing, and other similar properties. So with this approach, we are able to come up with different themes based on the core. So we are able to provide material theme, bootstrap theme, custom themes from our design team called PrimeView themes, and also it is now able to create your own themes for if you have a design system. That's also possible. This is quite powerful so that you can switch between different themes. Otherwise, with Vue, from what I've seen, you need to, for example, but this also happened in the sibling projects, the users need to switch libraries, and that means rewriting the application, right? So if you are going to switch from Material to Bootstrap, you need to rewrite your application. But PrimeView, that's not the case. For one client, you can come up with Material theme, and for another client, you can use the same application, presented it with a different theme. So a couple of themes are bundled with PrimeView. They are the Bootstrap, Material, Arya, Vela, and Saga. Arya, Vela, Saga are one of our own themes. So as you can see here, we have the Material theme selected. Now selecting the Bootstrap theme, the dark one. All the themes also have a couple of dark modes, not just one mode with different dark shades, let's say. Now here's the tab view where we are able to see the Bootstrap one, and now switching to our own Saga theme, which is a simpler tab design, and finally the Material one for sure with the Material animations built in, and the dark Material. Also, there's the Material compact mode. So I usually personally see that Material can be can allocate a lot of space, and if you need space, then in this case, Material compact mode will help. So here, there's a nice configurator here. This one, there is where you can switch the input style. For example, here there's the field inputs where a background will be displayed. By the way, the components are scalable so that you can increase their sizes as well, and Ripple is built in. So let's switch to, this is the Saga. Let's switch to Material, PrimeView, and switch to field mode, PrimeView. Switch to, let's say, dark Material. And of course, you can go with Material and then on the fly switch to dark Bootstrap themes. And this is the same story for tab view as well. Here's the Bootstrap tabs, PrimeView's own tabs, PrimeView's dark mode, one of the dark modes. Indigo is the Material version. There's the compact versions as well. So there's a deep, let's check out this one. This is the dark version and so on. So let's switch back to Saga and let's see if we can find any other component with that character. Let's say the calendar. This is the Saga version, and let's check out the material one. And this is the material version. So again, you don't need to switch the library to come up with this. You just need one line of CSS called, you know, the CSS file that includes the PrimeView theme. In addition to the themes, we have also created a couple of templates. They are based on Vue CLI. There's the Sapphire for material, Avalon for Bootstrap, Roma from our own design team, Prestige as well. Apollo has a dark mode, and Babylon, and there will be more coming. There can also be visited from Vue.js resources/themes. So for example, you can also see the idea here where let's go to, let's say, Sapphire Vue. So this is the material application, material dashboard. This UI kit is actually the PrimeView components here, and they are material. And you can also, for example, if I change it to Avalon, which is a Bootstrap version, so it's the same logic, the same Vue code, the template and the Vue logic is the same, but just the look and feel is different. And another one. And of course, they are quite flexible with different modes and color options as well. Okay. And theming story continues. We have, what happens if you like to have your own theme? In this case, we have PrimeView Theme Designer. The theme designer has two modes. One is the visual mode, which allows you to quickly and rapidly prototype your theme and using color pickers and using a UI. And also there's the code mode, and there's a nice API documentation that lists all the variables and what they are for. And the code mode is advanced for use case like implementing your own design system. I know users for the sibling projects have built design systems on top of Prime libraries. So let's try. It is available on live as well, so that you can right now go online and play with it. Designer/Vue. Let's choose a base theme like light version. And let's increase the border radiuses and change the primary color. Hopefully you will spend more time than I did. And highlight could be, let's choose a different, okay. So this is the highlight version. And you also have surfaces like headers, contents, borders, and for forms, you have a lot of variables here. So you can just go online and also you can just restart and start with the dark version. And so on. There's, as I mentioned, there's also the code mode where you will have full access to the SaaS API. We have our own icon set called Prime Icons. As I mentioned, it's available on NPM as well. It has close to 200 icons. Our design team has designed them and created them using the design tools, and we've converted them to font icons. So it's our own icon suite. So the components provide them. I mean, they utilize them, but also provide properties like, let's say, expanded icon, closed, collapsed icon, and things like that, so that you can hook in other icon sets as well. But I think Prime icons will be more than enough for your use cases already. And you can even use it with regular HTML elements. Okay, this is one of my favorites, PrimeFlex. As I've told you before, the goal of PrimeView is to come up with a complete UI solution. So we have a lot of open source UI components. We have the dashboards and templates. We have the icons, and what we were missing was the CSS utilities for layout and things like that. And we covered that with this open source project called PrimeFlex. It's a CSS utility library where you will have a grid system, Flexbox utilities, form layout, which is an extension to the grid with optimized for form layout. There is the display properties so that you can hide, and for example, for a mobile view, you can hide a certain component, and for desktop environment, you can show it. Spacing utilities, that's one of my favorites. I use it a lot on our demo pages. And elevation for, shadows. So here, if you go to the PrimeView website, there is this nice PrimeFlex section. This is the grid system. It's quite dynamic. It's based on 12 column grid. And there's the Flexbox, for example, to mark these elements like flex items, you can just call PD flex, and they're all responsive for certain environments. For example, the order can be reversed and similar. So the form layout is optimized for forms, where you can have horizontal forms, vertical forms. There's the spacing utilities where you can space at margins and paddings for items, and elevation for shadow. So you can just check it out online as well. Accessibility is one of our major concerns. I'm not sure, not every other library is giving a lot of priority just as we did, because we have a lot of customers and users in the government space. And for 10 years, we have a really good understanding of accessibility, and we have done it for its siblings, and we learned how to do accessible UI components. Now PrimeView is the newest one, so we have moved that knowledge and experience to PrimeView. So for its siblings, we have added accessibility afterwards to these libraries, but with PrimeView it's built in, so it is now available. And our UI libraries have been audited many times for accessibility, and they always get some high scores, and PrimeView is not an exception. We spend a lot of time on keyboard support. So for menus, tables, items with selections, they all support keyboards such as arrow key navigation, enter, space key selection, escape key support. Semantic HTML is what we prefer to begin with to help the screen readers. But if not available, then we use ARIA roles and attributes. And finally, we work with and we test against different screen readers to make sure that our UI components are accessible. Responsiveness is also built in. For example, even for complex components like data table, they are responsive. So if you check them on a smaller screen, they just align themselves. But we don't do it automatically, because that would make our components restricted. We just want to make sure the media queries are customizable. So whenever we can, we provide, customizable media queries using the theme, so that you can choose your own breakpoints. Otherwise, that would be really hard, because we did that in the past and it was a bad experience for our users. They were unable to override it depending on the requirements. But now with PrimeView and recent updates to the siblings, it's quite easy to come up with your own media queries, so that components can get responsive. There's also the nice keyword called pfluid, so that when every descendant inside this pfluid will make sure that it spans the 100% width of its container. So it's the fluid design. Server-side rendering is supported. We have checked with Next.js, and there's also a nice helper project called PrimeView Next.js Quick Start, so you can check it online as well. And while we are doing our components, SSR is another concern of us, so we make sure that the component is designed and programmed according to SSR compatibility. TypeScript, we come from a Java background, and for PrimeNG we use TypeScript as well, so we have a lot of experience on TypeScript. Although PrimeView is not written in TypeScript, we ship the type declaration files, and TypeScript is a full class citizen for PrimeView. We also provide a sample quick start application called PrimeView-TypeScript-Quick Start. Of course, if you face with any problem, you can just contact us, and we can fix if any TypeScript related issue. So how to contact us? We have our own community forum, just like other UI libraries. It's a growing community with a lot of new users every day, but also best of both worlds actually. We also provide enterprise services called PrimeView Pro, where you can contact us directly using a Jira instance, and we will be securing you will be securing our response, and we will be responding within 1 business days, and you can even just request new features and enhancements from us. So this model has been working for us over the past years, so it's the best of both worlds, open source library with the optional premium support. So version 3, we are quite excited about Vue 3 because there were a couple of cases where with Vue 2 where we thought that could be better, like fragment support, using multiple Vue models, and some animation cases. But right now we have started migration to Vue 3, and we are quite happy with what we've seen. Usually, I personally, when I was doing it, I'm just removing some code that I did for Vue 2 so that we can remove some of our workarounds. It's going good so far. So by the end of September and early October, we plan to release the first release candidate for Vue 3. That will be PrimeView 3, but of course we will continue to support Vue 2. So the next version will be Vue 3. That's what we're working on right now. Our release cycle sprints are bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks we do a new release, and once the Vue 3 comes out, we will keep supporting PrimeView 2 with the long-term support. And we have some ideas like better virtual scrolling, advanced data filtering, where you will have much more control over the filtering. 3 and 3 tail enhancements include scrolling and drag and drop. Dynamic dialog will allow you to embed any component inside. So there will be dynamic loading. And there will be new themes and new templates. So you don't be surprised if you see the mimic of your favorite CSS library implemented as a theme in PrimeView, just like Bootstrap. For example, the Bootstrap theme doesn't use Bootstrap, so it just mimics it. And there will be more templates. We have some new templates for the sibling projects, and we will port them to PrimeView as well. So thank you. Hopefully you have enjoyed this presentation, and hopefully I managed to impress you guys. And by the end of this presentation, I hope that you have some ideas about what to do with and some cool project ideas that you can implement with PrimeView. So thank you for joining me on the session, and always bet on Prime. Thank you.